Goodbye to All That by Robert Graves. I did not know anything about the book or author really before getting it, but at the bookstore I know that Robert Graves was a British author and poet. One of his more popular books is, I think, a novel called I, Claudius. Some people who did not like Goodbye to All That did like I, Claudius more, and then other people may like his poetry as well. One thing about this is an autobiography, but he actually wrote it fairly early in his life or career. He wrote it after the First World War, which he fought in, and he'd also written some poems at that point. So at the time, he was kind of more of a poet, but he went on to actually write several novels after this. So this is not so much an autobiography of like his entire life, you know, like all of his works he's ever written. He hadn't written all that much at this point yet, besides some poetry. So the thing about this book is this is a memoirs kind of the First World War, of his service in the First World War. But really the first, like, I don't know, 10 chapters of the book are about like his schooling. And even though I thought the writing itself was okay, if not a bit dry, which is kind of to be expected because he's a British writer, but the more I read, the less I liked it, because everyone in the school is kind of written just like bullies. And it was the same thing reading Roald Dahl, the author of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He talked about his schooling growing up, and it was very much the same. It was just like a bunch of bullying and violence. And something Graves also talks about is basically everyone in the school, Graves says, was like homosexual kind of. And he even has a line like saying how, since it was an all boys school, the boys used each other as sex instruments. And he also talks quite at length about like another boy in the school that he was in love with. So basically the first part of this book is just about all these really violent kids who are like all homosexuals. So that was just like weird. But then about chapter 10, it got into the First World War stuff and his service in the First World War. And this is really where the book lost me, because it just didn't seem very emotional. Like in the book, he talks about like all of his different classmates and his friends and his family and stuff. And just real casually, he'll just say like, oh yeah, they died during the war. And he doesn't say anything about like what that meant to him. It doesn't say how it deeply affected him. He doesn't say how it made him rethink anything. It's just, oh yeah, this person died and this person died in the middle of the war and this person died. There's really no impression that he even cares about those people. So why should I care about them? And just reading this book, I didn't care about any of the characters in it, and I didn't care about Graves either. I just didn't care about these people. So when he talks about them going off to the war and dying, I didn't really care. So combined with his writing, just his dry writing style and just completely emotionless writing, I just really did not care about this guy or any of the people in the book. And Graves doesn't seem to care about them either. When they die, he's just like, whatever. He can't care less. So I just really didn't understand the point of this book. And it's just not well written, really. I mean, it's okay written, but not. So I cannot give any more than 2 stars to